Hello everyone, this is Jeff with Walk and Talk with Warden Jeff. I wanted to talk this morning about what happened in the prison systems during the big Y2K. Does everybody remember the Y2K? When everyone thought that the power grids were going to go down and water supplies were going to be cut short. No one was going to be able to buy anything at the stores, and everything was going to happen. People were going and stockpiling groceries and water and all kinds of things because of the Y2K. And the Y2K was the 1999. They thought that when the clock rolled over at midnight to go to the year 2000, that being 99 would go to 00, which would take us back to 1900 instead of 2000 as far as the computers went. Now, they had worked on this for months and months and months at the prisons. IT guys, tech guys were all in. They were trying to make sure that everything got fixed before the big turnover, because they thought that there was a good possibility that there'd be a chance that the prison wouldn't be able to release people on the proper times, because if time didn't go forward and it went backwards, it would be a hard time running the facility like that for sure. And the computer systems in the prisons at that time, they weren't brand new, but they were fairly new as far as computers go in the workplace. They'd only been probably in about maybe 10 years. And there was a lot of things that, still being ironed out as far as computer systems were concerned, especially dealing with penitentiaries. So we had I'll say an overzealous director for our state over the prison systems. And he wanted to make sure that absolutely everything was operational on the night of the big turnover, the Y2K night. He wanted to be on midnight shift, or he wanted, when it turned to midnight, he wanted to make sure that everything was operational. He wanted to make sure that everything was working correctly. So he instructed every facility in the state to make sure that every administrative staff member was there, every maintenance staff member was there, call in the tactical unit from every institution. We had overtime like you wouldn't believe. People just sitting around to take care of a few projects that I'm getting ready to tell you about. Now, the officers' jobs was simply just to do what they were supposed to do. Run their shift, do their counts, do all that stuff. But there was also people assigned in all the units. One of the jobs was to make sure that all the toilets would flush. Well, I don't really know how that was tied in the computer system. Maybe I just don't know a whole lot about what all was going on at that time. But I was a captain, and I was a cell house captain on a day shift, so I was there too, having to work till midnight. But now, we didn't just work till midnight on Central Time. Our directors considered the fact that maybe these computers was all tied into one particular time zone, even though everybody was telling that wasn't the way it worked. We had to be there for the Eastern Time, Central Time, Mountain Time, and Pacific Time. So we were there for 4 hours overtime, plus we had to be there an hour early to make sure that we was all set up with our jobs and everything. And so it got closer to the time, and I got wind that the chief of security had told the tactical units that we are going to make sure that every stool in the facility flushes, and they're going to flush them all at the same time. Oh man, I've worked cell houses a long time. By that time, I was a 20-year veteran. And I know that just 10 or 11 guys get together and flush their stool at the same time, it creates a flood. The pipes doesn't handle, the drain pipes doesn't handle all that water going out at one time. So I heard that, and I immediately went to my chief of security. I said, Mage, we can't do that. I said, we will flood our entire prison out if we do that. He said, well, that's just what the director wants. I said, you gotta listen to me. I said, this is gonna be a mess beyond messes if this happens. I said, let's just go cell to cell, go to each wing, go to each deck. There was like 25 or 30 cells on each deck. have the officers go from cell to cell to cell, one at a time, have them flush, and whenever it finishes flushing, go to the next one, and let's do it that way. They'd say, well, that's just not the way the director sent the word down to do it. He wants them all flushed at the same time because he wants to know immediately if anything's not working. I said, if we do that, you're going to create a major flood, and you've got to know that. Well, the lieutenant at the same time had heard the same thing that I had heard, and he was another 20-year veteran, and he had heard this very same thing. He saw me talking to the major, so he went over there and he started telling the major exactly what I was telling him. And the major was saying, you know, he was like reluctant, but he thought, well, I'll call the warden. I'll tell him what you guys are saying. So he called the warden, and the warden said, you know, he said, and the warden was a veteran too. He'd got to been around the block. He said, you know what? He said, these guys are right. We flush all these stools at the same time, we're gonna have a major flood. He said, let me call the director's office. So the warden called the director's office. The director's office said, nope, that's the way they want it done. That's the way they want it done. Simple as that. You just do what the director says. I told the major, I said, well, I said, I don't want to disobey a direct order. I said, but we're not going to do it like that. I said, I do not want this whole place flooded like that at all. So it got like 11:59 our time, and all of a sudden got a call on the radio from the warden. I did personally, to give him a 21, which means give him a phone call immediately. So I ran down, because I mean, we were like getting ready for crunch time here. We were seconds off of midnight, and the clock was getting ready to roll over. He said, Captain, he said, do not flush all those stools at the same time. He said, if we do, it's going to create a huge flood. Oh, no kidding? Okay, sir. I'll inform everybody. So I got on the radio, because I had no time to make phone calls. I got on the radio, told everybody, do not flush them at the same time. We're going to do them one cell at a time, blah, 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 blah. Told them the instructions. Well, we did it right. And everything, of course, everything turned out right, just like it did across the entire world. Y2K was simply nothing but, you know, a lot of fear for nothing. Nothing happened. There was nothing serious went on with any of the major grids or water supplies or anything like that. Our prison, we didn't flood out. However, 5 of the prisons in the state had major flooding by flushing all their stools at the same time. And I guess they didn't have anyone that was really, you know, thinking much about that. But a lot of facilities did. A lot of people who had people in charge that had been around the block and saw how these flushing all the stools at the same time would create a huge flood. We all knew. And I guess some of the other facilities wasn't aware of that. Anyway, they had major flooding, did thousands and thousands of dollars worth of damage. Oh, they said it was terrible in some of those places because the sewer then backed up into the cell houses, and it was just a total mess, and they were there, you know, all night long and the next day cleaning up and sanitizing. We didn't have to do that. We as soon as our Pacific time hit midnight and everything was good, we all shot out of there, because most of us had to come to work the next day on day shift. So, you know, we didn't get out till late. So anyway, the Y2K thing did not affect any of the prisons except self-inflicted pain, as they flushed all their stools at the same time, which again made absolutely no sense to me. But hey, I wasn't in charge. I was the peon that day. I was just the captain delivering messages. So, but anyway, that's my story for the day. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you remembered that Y2K mess, and everybody went through just fine. I hope you have a great day. Like, subscribe, comment on my page, and share it if you know anybody who likes to listen to a good prison story. I'm out.